Have you ever felt like you live inside a beautiful house, but you're only allowed in one room? The living room. It's immaculate. The furniture is perfectly arranged. The light streams in just so. This is the room you show to the world. It's where you host your guests, where you display your achievements on the mantelpiece, where you smile for photos. You've spent your entire life curating this one room, making it as pleasant, as positive, as successful as possible. You follow all the rules of modern well-being. You wake up and practice gratitude for the lovely view from the living room window. You recite affirmations while polishing the silverware. You scroll through images of other people's beautiful living rooms, feeling a pang of something you can't name, and you double down on making your own room even brighter, even more perfect. And yet, when the guests leave and night falls, and you're alone in the quiet of your perfect room, do you ever hear things? A floorboard creaking upstairs, a faint rattling from the basement door, a whisper in the walls that sounds strangely like your own voice, but a voice you don't recognize. There's a quiet desperation that haunts the corners of this perfect room. You achieve the next thing. You buy the new piece of furniture. You hang a new, happier picture on the wall. And for a moment, the room feels complete. But the quiet always returns. The strange noises persist, and you find yourself wondering, with a cold knot of dread in your stomach, why does living in this beautiful home feel so lonely? Why does it feel like I'm not really home at all? That emptiness isn't a sign that your living room isn't perfect enough. It's not a signal that you need more happiness, more gratitude, more affirmations. It's a message. It's a message from the rest of the house you've been taught to ignore. We've been sold a beautiful, tragic lie that wholeness is achieved by perfecting this one sunlit room of our personality. That if we just stay positive enough, productive enough, and presentable enough, we will finally feel at peace. But wholeness doesn't come from addition. It doesn't come from buying a new lamp for the living room. It comes from integration. And integration requires you to do the one thing you've been terrified to do. It requires you to pick up the old, rusty keys, walk out of your perfect living room, and begin to explore the rest of your house, the dark, forgotten, locked-away parts of you. Modern life has become a civilization of living rooms. We've built entire industries around helping you redecorate your one presentable space to distract you from the unsettling noises coming from the rest of the house. Scroll away the discomfort. Buy away the emptiness. Affirm away the sadness. We keep polishing the surface, hoping it will somehow fix the foundations. But we're treating symptoms while ignoring the profound truth. The disease is fragmentation. You are living as a fraction of yourself, showing the world only one curated room while the rest of your inner home falls into disrepair. The mask you wear, this living room self, has become so convincing that even you have started to believe it's all there is. But beneath the floorboards, behind the locked doors, in the dusty attic and the damp basement of your psyche, lives everything you've decided is unacceptable. Your rage, your deep, aching grief, your shame, your terror. The parts of you that were told they were too much, too weak, too needy, too messy for the living room. And here is the cruelest irony of all. The more you lock these parts away, the more you refuse to acknowledge them, the more power they have over you. They become the ghosts in your own home. They are the ones rattling the doors, flickering the lights, creating that constant, low-level anxiety that you can't explain. The great psychologist Carl Jung said it best: "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." This isn't a metaphor, it is a mechanism. Every pattern of self-sabotage, just as you're about to succeed. Every relationship that mysteriously replays the same painful dynamic. Every sudden wave of anxiety that comes from nowhere. These are not random acts of fate. These are messages from the abandoned rooms of your house. They are the parts of you that you have exiled, and they are begging to be seen. If this feeling of being a stranger in your own home resonates, if you're tired of living in just one room while the rest of your house calls to you, then I invite you to walk this path with me. This journey isn't about escaping the house, it's about claiming all of it. Subscribe to Mind Decode Explained, and let's find the keys together. Let's learn to be at home in all of ourselves. Let's talk more about this living room. We call this the persona. It's the face we present to the world. The good employee, the loving partner, the strong friend, the spiritual seeker. This persona is not inherently bad. It's a necessary tool for navigating social life. It's how we connect, how we function in society. The problem arises when we forget that it's a room, not the whole house. When we fuse with our persona, we start to believe we times are times the curated, acceptable version of ourselves. The mask becomes our face, and we spend all our energy maintaining it. The happiness our culture sells is often just another piece of furniture for this room. It's a performance of well-being. I'm fine. I'm grateful. I'm blessed. We say the words, arrange our faces into a smile, and post the picture of our beautiful living room online. And underneath it all, we are exhausted. Not a physical tiredness that sleep can fix, but a soul-deep exhaustion. It's the exhaustion of being at war with 90% of your own being. It's the immense, draining effort of keeping all those doors locked. Think about what lives in those other rooms. Those rooms make up what Jung called the shadow. The shadow isn't evil. It is simply everything we have disowned about ourselves to remain socially acceptable. In the basement, perhaps, is your rage. The pure, white-hot anger you were told was unladylike, or not spiritual, or too aggressive. You locked it down there as a child to keep the peace, to be loved. But it didn't disappear. It's still there, banging on the pipes, causing pressure to build up throughout the entire house. It leaks out. It seeps into your life as passive aggression, as biting sarcasm, as chronic neck pain, as a sudden explosive outburst at a customer service agent over something trivial. You haven't gotten rid of the anger. You've just lost conscious control over it. It now runs a part of the house from the darkness. In the dusty attic, perhaps, is your grief. All the tears you never cried because you had to be the strong one. The heartbreak you papered over with positivity. The losses you were told to just get over. This ungrieved sorrow doesn't vanish. It hangs in the air like a fine dust, dulling the colors in your perfect living room. It becomes a persistent, low-grade depression, a feeling of flatness and meaninglessness that no amount of gratitude can polish away. As Dr. Bessel van der Kolk so powerfully reminds us, the body keeps the score. That grief is stored in your very cells. It's the heaviness in your chest, the fatigue in your bones. It's the house itself, groaning under the weight of unshed tears. And what about that locked closet under the stairs? That's where you've hidden your vulnerability, your deep need for connection, your terror of abandonment. You learned early on that neediness was weakness, that to be truly strong, you had to be fiercely independent. So you locked that tender, yearning part of yourself away. But it's still there, whispering through the keyhole. It directs your life from the shadows. It's why you push away people who get too close, or why you cling desperately to partners who are emotionally unavailable, unconsciously replaying the original wound of rejection. This is how the psyche works. It seeks wholeness, not comfort. It will keep bringing you experiences that trigger these locked rooms, not to punish you, but to give you another chance to find the key, open the door, and reclaim the part of yourself you left inside. Your relationships are the clearest mirrors for the state of your inner house. Notice who irritates you beyond all reason: the arrogant colleague, the overly emotional friend, the lazy family member. When your reaction is visceral, disproportionate, and obsessive, you are likely looking at a projection of your own shadow. You despise the arrogance in your colleague because you were forced to lock away your own healthy pride and ambition in a room labeled selfish. You can't stand the emotionality of your friend because you keep your own grief and vulnerability under lock and key in the attic. You judge the lazy person because you're terrified of the part of you that desperately needs to rest, a part you've chained in the basement and labeled unproductive. You're not reacting to them. You're reacting to the rattling of a door inside your own house that they have accidentally bumped against. The modern obsession with happiness makes this fragmentation worse. It's like a homeowners association with ever stricter rules for how your living room must look. No sadness allowed, no anger on the premises. Only bright, positive colors. Every difficult emotion is treated as a code violation, a sign that you're failing. So you push more and more of your authentic self into the locked rooms. The shadow grows heavier, the house more divided. Anxiety becomes the frantic energy of trying to monitor all these locked doors at once, terrified something might escape. Depression is the crushing weight of the entire neglected house pressing down on the one small room you're trying to live in. Addiction is the desperate attempt to numb the sounds, to forget that the other rooms even exist. When your life falls apart, when a relationship ends, a job is lost, a health crisis hits, it feels like a catastrophe. It feels like your beautiful living room has been wrecked by a storm. But from the perspective of the soul, this is not a breakdown, it is a breakthrough. The storm didn't just happen to you. It was, in a way, summoned by the immense pressure building within the house. The walls have been breached. The doors have been blown off their hinges. And for the first time, you are forced to confront the entirety of your home. The mess, the darkness, the neglect. It's terrifying. This is the dark night of the soul. But it's not a punishment. It's an initiation. It's the house itself forcing you to become not just a decorator of one room, but the true keeper of the entire estate. Because on the other side of this chaos, if you are brave enough to walk through the wreckage and see what has been revealed, is the possibility of something far greater than happiness. It is the possibility of wholeness. So, if you're standing in the ruins of your once perfect living room, surrounded by the contents of rooms you never knew existed, the question is no longer, how can I rebuild my living room to be even more perfect? The question becomes, how do I learn to live in this entire, messy, beautiful, haunted, and holy house? The answer is ancient and profound. You must begin the descent. You have to walk, with intention, into the rooms you have feared. You have to turn and face the ghosts that are not ghosts at all, but lost, exiled parts of yourself. This descent into your own inner house is the heart of all true psychological and spiritual work. It's the hero's journey, a story told across cultures for millennia. The hero must leave the familiar, sunlit world, the living room, descend into the underworld, the basement and attic, confront the monsters, the disowned parts of the shadow, and retrieve a treasure, a lost piece of their soul before returning, transformed. You cannot skip this part of the journey. Any attempt to fly directly into the light, to bypass the darkness within, leads to what we call spiritual bypassing. It's using affirmations to paper over the cracks in the foundation. It's using meditation not to be present with what is, but to escape the discomfort of your own home. It doesn't work. The pressure will just build elsewhere. The neglected parts will always find a way to make you listen. So, how do we begin this journey practically? How do you take the first step out of the living room? The first key is radical self-honesty. It starts by listening. Stop distracting yourself when the quiet comes. When you feel that familiar pang of anxiety or sadness, don't immediately reach for your phone or the remote control. Pause. Close your eyes. Acknowledge the feeling and ask a gentle question. You are a part of my house. Which room are you coming from? Treat the feeling not as an intruder to be expelled, but as a messenger knocking on a door from the inside. This is a profound shift. You stop being at war with your own experience and start becoming a curious, compassionate listener. The second key is what Jung called active imagination. It is a way of entering into a dialogue with the parts of yourself you've locked away. You can do this through journaling or in a quiet, meditative state. Let's say you're struggling with a harsh inner critic, that voice that tells you you're not good enough. Instead of fighting it or believing it, imagine it as a figure. Give it a shape, a voice. Perhaps it's a stern judge, or a frightened child, or a wounded warrior. Then, ask it questions. Why are you so critical of me? What are you afraid would happen if you stopped? How old are you? What do you need from me? You will be astonished at what you discover. Often, the inner critic is a very young, terrified part of you that adopted this harsh strategy to protect you from the outside world's judgment by judging you first. It thinks it's keeping you safe. When you approach it with curiosity, instead of hostility, it can transform from a tormentor into an ally. You are opening a door and starting a conversation with a resident of your house. Researcher Brené Brown speaks of the immense courage of vulnerability. And what could be more vulnerable than this? To willingly walk into the rooms where you have stored your greatest shame and fear, and to simply be with what is there, without judgment, without needing to fix it. This is the truest form of self-love. It's not about bubble baths and positive self-talk, which are often just more ways of decorating the living room. It's about putting on your work clothes, taking a flashlight, and a deep breath, and having the courage to go into the basement. As you do this, you will find things you don't expect. Yes, you will find pain. You will find the grief you never processed, the anger you swallowed. You must allow yourself to feel these things. This is purposeful suffering, the kind that leads to growth, as opposed to the meaningless suffering of living a fragmented life. But you will also find other things in these locked rooms. In the basement with your rage, you may also find your life force, your passion, your ability to set powerful boundaries. It has been locked away with the anger. In the attic, with your grief, you may find your deep capacity for empathy, your connection to the river of human sorrow, your profound love for what has been lost. In the closet with your vulnerability, you will find the key to true intimacy and connection with others. These are the treasures hidden in the darkness. The shadow contains not just what is inferior, but also what is undeveloped. It holds a vast reservoir of your untapped potential, your raw, authentic power. The gold is in the dark. This is a process of integration. It's not about letting your rage run wild in the living room. It's about opening the basement door, allowing the energy of that rage to rise into the house in a conscious way, and using its power to protect your home, to speak your truth, to fuel your creative work. It's not about wallowing in grief forever. It's about opening the attic, sitting with the sorrow until it transforms, and allowing its wisdom to soften your heart and deepen your compassion. You are bringing the lost parts of yourself back into the light of your conscious awareness. You are making the house whole again. And as you do this, something miraculous begins to happen. The house quiets down. The strange noises cease. The feeling of being haunted disappears. Not because the basement and the attic are gone, but because you are now a conscious resident of them. You know what's there. You are no longer afraid of your own home. The word healing and the word whole come from the same ancient root. To heal is not to fix something broken. It is to make whole what has been fragmented. It is to welcome home all the exiled parts of yourself. When you are no longer at war with yourself, you discover a peace that is not dependent on circumstances. It's not the fragile peace of a perfect living room that can be shattered at any moment. It is the deep, resilient peace of a homeowner who knows and loves every corner of their house, the light and the dark, the beautiful and the broken. What changes when you stop chasing the fleeting light of happiness and begin the profound work of building wholeness? Everything and nothing. Life will still bring storms that rattle the windows. Loss will still arrive, an uninvited guest. Pain will still find you. But you will be different. You are no longer a terrified resident huddled in one small room. You are the entire house. You have deep foundations. You can hold the storm. You can meet suffering with a deep embodied presence instead of panic, because you have practiced by sitting in the dark rooms of your own soul. Your wounds, once sources of deep shame, become your greatest gifts. They become sources of wisdom and power. You can understand another person's darkness because you have had the courage to face your own. This is the birth of true compassion. This journey, which Jung called individuation, is the process of becoming fully and authentically yourself. It's the ultimate act of generosity to the world. You cannot give what you do not have. You cannot offer authentic love if you despise the residents of your own house. You cannot hold space for another's pain if you are fleeing from your own. By doing this deep inner work, you show up in the world as a whole person, not a walking, talking living room. Your presence becomes a quiet permission for others to be whole too. Authenticity calls to authenticity. Your visions will become clear only when you can look into your own heart, Jung wrote. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes. The answers you have been desperately seeking outside of yourself, in the next achievement, the next relationship, the next spiritual teaching, are not out there. They are inside. They are waiting for you in the quiet, dusty, forgotten rooms of your own magnificent house. The journey never truly ends. There will always be another door to open, another layer to explore. But it ceases to be a journey of fear and becomes one of discovery. So do not chase happiness. It will come and go like the weather. Build wholeness instead. Build a soul sturdy enough to hold all of it, the joy and the sorrow, the light and the shadow. The strength you've been looking for is already inside you. It is in the very rooms you have been too afraid to enter. Your darkness is not your enemy. It is your unintegrated power. And when you finally turn towards it, with compassion and courage, when you unlock the doors and welcome all of yourself home, you become something far more resilient than happy. You become unbreakable, not because nothing can hurt you, but because you are no longer divided against yourself. You are finally, truly, wholly at home. Now, before we part, I invite you to take one small step on this journey. In the comments below, share one room in your own house that you've been avoiding. You don't need to explain it. It can be a single word: anger, grief, fear, neediness. Just by naming it, you are turning a key. You are acknowledging its existence. And in doing so, you shine a little light into the darkness, making the first step toward coming home. This path can feel lonely, but you are not alone in it. We are all learning to inhabit our full selves. Keep exploring, keep descending, keep becoming. The person you are on the other side of this is the person you were always meant to be. I'll see you there.